Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to episode 3 of Muslim Billionaires. I'm sure you guys see the title, and the title's really about not dreaming big enough. So before we get started about the topic, I hope you guys have been following. I hope you guys are, subscribing to the podcast. It's on YouTube as well if you guys are tuning into that. There's also a few clips on TikTok and Instagram that you guys can check out. So without further ado, let's get into it. So one of the biggest things that we kind of struggle with is actually not dreaming big enough. And what I mean by that is a lot of us limit what vision we have due to anxiety, due to not going as far as imagining what a better version of yourself looks like. I always said the first step of self-development is accepting and believing there is a better version of yourself, holding yourself accountable, but also accepting and believing there is a better version of yourself. A lot of us don't accept and believe. Why is that? That's a very good question. I think I'm going to start with the anxiety aspect of it. We only go as far as the people we surround ourselves with, And the anxiety part comes with when you start to look around the people you surround yourself with and ask yourself, is this really my limit? Or in actuality, you come to the conclusion of saying, this is my limit. Why? Because the people you surround yourself with is as far as you go. So if the people are going to have a certain lifestyle, have a limitation of where they want to, how they want to achieve money or achieve financial success, how they want to achieve spiritual success or spirituality, how they want to delve into that, their mentality, their conversations, even to the part of not finishing a full sentence without cussing. You go as far as those people. The people you attract is a reflection of the choices you make, good or bad. So if you're out here making certain bad decisions, you're only gonna reflect. It's only gonna reflect on the people you surround yourself with, right? Meaning, if you're in a drinking and smoking environment, right, you're more than likely going to attract people that are in a drinking and smoking environment. It makes sense. The world is going to respond the way you put yourself out there. It's kind of going back to the first episode when I was talking about what life actually looks like. 99% is what life throws at you, or 99% is how we respond to the world, and 1% is what the world actually gives you. So when we're responding in a way where we have no understanding of who we are, then of course you're only going to limit yourself to a certain point, right? So instead of giving yourself answers, you have to ask yourself questions. Who am I surrounding myself with? And how is it affecting me as far as dreaming? Now, the anxiety part. The anxiety aspect of it is I can't see myself far removed from the people that I continue to surround myself with because I don't see that in them. But then you have to start asking yourself, their struggles, their failures, or even their success, it's not reflective on you. It really isn't. It's going back to the episode I was talking about, the story of having your own story. Why do you need to perpetuate the story of somebody that is struggling with theirs? It doesn't make sense, right? And actually, it's flirting with the idea, thinking that that's exactly what life is really about. When it first and foremost is everything's in God's hands. And secondly, you were born differently. You came to this world where you're gifted with so many things, talents and thoughts and opinions and, knowledge and different walks, coming from different walks of life and having different experiences too, right? So to me, Where do you stop telling yourself, I could dream bigger than I'm dreaming right now? Or, furthermore, when are you going to start dreaming? That's a better question. It doesn't cost to dream. It doesn't cost to say, you know what, I want to be this. I want to see myself this. It does cost, though, to get to the path of being and not putting effort in it, right? Dreams without goals is just dreams. These are just thoughts. More like entertainment. It's just like a movie that you keep telling yourself over and over again. It's just more of a form of entertainment in your head, rather than just watching it on Netflix or something like that, right? It's just another version of entertainment for you. But when do you start dreaming is when you actually start putting the effort in. When you actually start drawing out plans and strategies and goals to actually get to that dream. But the mindset has to shift. The anxiety needs to dissolve. Because if you're surrounding yourself with people that are not contributing to that, then you have to make that sacrifice of knowing that, hey, I gotta move. I gotta leave. Either you sacrifice for your dreams, or your dreams become the sacrifice. It's either or. Choose your difficulty. The discipline comes in, the planning comes in, the strategy comes in, but the mindset shift is when it's the most emphatic part of your process. So, where's the mindset shift really? What happens when you start thinking about this? Well, first and foremost, there's a sense of humility that comes with it. You have to tell yourself you are not at the best that you thought you were, right? If you surround yourself with people that obviously are not contributing anything to communities or anything like that, if you continue to surround yourself with those people and you're just the best amongst that group of what y'all are doing, then what does that make you really, right? Sometimes we buy into our own hype, right? We get into our own hype of thinking, yes, I'm best at within my friend group, or I'm the best at with whatever social events that I'm going to, right? That's obviously compromising our values as humans, especially as believers. But I'm the best at that. So then we start buying into our own hype. We start buying into our own hype. Are you really the best at what you think you should be? Or are you the best at what you're actually doing, which is the complete opposite of what that version of you looks like? That version of you could be very successful, right? Obviously, success is relative to what extent and what limit that you have. But again, when are you dreaming? You know, the process of you dreaming, first of all, comes with distractions. And then secondly, again, it comes with delusion. Because you think you're the best at whatever you guys are doing within your friend group means that you're the best at everything else. It doesn't mean that way, right? Oh, I'm the funniest person. I'll give you an example. I'm the funniest amongst my friend group as far as talking about nonsense or debating about things that have nothing to do with my personal growth, my spiritual growth, my mentality, my financial growth. Nothing to do with that, but I'm really, really, really good at that when I'm having those conversations because I'm really the funniest and the most likable within that vicinity. But does that make you the best at anything? Again, you're buying into your own hype, right? Because you're so delusional to the point where now you're thinking this is exactly what life is about. Now add the distractions that come with it, right? Now add the distractions that come with it with other people, right? That you see within videos, music, and everything else is also adding to that. Because everybody needs a soundtrack to their lifestyle, right? Drinking, smoking, whatever. Now you have a lifestyle you need a soundtrack of music that adds to that. So now you're getting distracted. So you're delusional because you think you're the funniest, likable person in the group of, in the set of things. That's the complete opposite of being the better version of yourself. But secondly, you're also not dreaming big enough. You're also not even putting the thought process if there is a better version of who you are. There's a world outside of the world that you actually live in. But it's really about you to make that decision on whether you think there is a world out there that makes sense. And again, the road is really lonely because not a lot of people think like you. But when do you start dreaming big? When is your mindset actually start shifting? The day it does. So for me, the day it started to really, really get into it is when I really had a conversation with myself. When I had that alone time, right? There's a sense of solitude that you need for yourself. It's very, very healthy, mentally as well, where it's not a state of loneliness. It's just choosing to be alone. It's having this set of thoughts of knowing that, hey, does this contribute to the better version of myself, right? Does this actually take me on a path of going into a world that I know exists? Why? Because it's been said. It's not as popular as what you see on TV or on YouTube or on social media, right? Through movies and TV shows. Like, you're not going to see that as much. But there is a world outside of that. There's the world of people that are like-minded as you, that understand finances, and they're healthy and they don't take on debt. There is no interest that are added to that as well. They go according to their Islamic values and principles. They have a great mindset. They remind you of God, right? They're a group of people that will remind you of going to the gym and being the healthiest you can. They're a group of people that are only sharing ideas with one another rather than talking about other people or other sports events or things that don't really contribute to your life at all. There are people that ultimately add to your dream as much as you add to theirs. Now you're exchanging value. God is going to put you together with those people. But when are you going to believe that world exists? It's a mindset shift. It's a conversation that you need to have. It's a really important conversation to have. I always said, since we've been born, we've been building relationships with everything else except ourselves. Because if you really think about it, as soon as we came into the earth, we started building relationship with our parents, then school teachers, then the doctors, then when we come home, we start building relationship with TV characters, TV shows, then start building relationships with grades, graduation, start building relationship with post-secondary education, relationship with debt without even understanding where the money, how come you're in debt, or not even understanding the monetary system and its actual understanding of what it is. It becomes a struggle. So when do you actually start having a relationship with yourself? When do you start talking to yourself and saying, who am I? It's a very simple conversation to have, but what am I? And who am I? Two of the questions I always asked myself during this process of me building towards something is, who am I? What version am I? What better version can I get to? And how do I get there? Those are two questions, beautiful questions you should ask yourself. I think those are the two questions you have to ask yourself when you're having this conversation. Because if you don't, then, somebody else will start answering those questions for you. Right? Life is about making your own choices, right? Or life will start making choices for you. Furthermore, time and reality will start answering questions you haven't really asked yourself yet. So when you're boggling yourself into not knowing who you are, not dreaming big enough, then what happens? Someone else is answering that question too, through the system of a lot of preset answers, right? Working for somebody. And it's funny, let's get back to what the dreams look like. You're graduating to contribute to somebody else's dream. If you really think about it, You're graduating and investing money and getting yourself into debt to contribute to somebody else's dream. It's business or somebody that actually went out of the system and was courageous enough to get themselves out of the generic, traditional way of working. You're working on somebody else's dream, right? Which becomes really, for those people, the element that adds to their success or that initiated that success was, most importantly, being courageous, right? When they dreamt big enough, they didn't care about people laughing. In actuality, when you dream and you tell somebody about your dream and they don't laugh, that means you haven't dreamt big enough. And that's a statement that you need to tell yourself. Am I dreaming big enough for people to start laughing about it? Especially the people that, going back to what I was saying, the people that I surrounded myself with. How loyal are the people that you grew up with? That's a better question that you need to start asking yourself. Are you loyal to growing up with them, or are you loyal to their qualities, and are you loyal to your qualities and how they contribute to it? Questions I need answers, right? But then, again, everything has been presented and without you asking yourself those questions at all. So, and within this podcast, within this episode in this podcast, the reason why I'm talking about this, because I see a sense of people not having the courage and are being attacked through anxiety. And obviously I'm a prime example of that, of having a sense of an anxiety of knowing that how do I grow up or grow out of a certain stage that I've known for years and years and years. How do I grow out of that? How do I start learning about what it is about me and what God has gifted me? How do I learn about that? Right? So what society usually does is within the system that we live in, is they leverage fear of missing out, fear of accountability, and the fear of dreaming, really. Fear of accepting who you are and what you can actually be. Being scared. And then the anxiety comes in, and then when you start sensing the anxiety, instead of tackling it with having conversations and finding something that's fulfilling, drugs and prescriptions come in and they try to numb you from that, and then you go, the path that gets there, and then you just go back to square one. Right? But that's not fair. You're in a world where everything is presented with so much opportunities. The world is such a huge place, right? And if you're not really thinking about it in that way, if you're not expanding your horizons, you're not going to certain places, you're not traveling to find yourself in a way where, appropriate traveling, by the way, of going to places where you're culturally sound and understanding and being exposed to other cultures, seeing different people from different walks of life, then how do you have the tendency to really dream? How? When you're very limited to how you even think. Thankfully, we have the internet to a certain extent to have that understanding, but then there's so many distractions that pull you to so many different directions that, you're taking certain pieces from other people to reinforce your anxiety, your depression, your lack of goals or lack of driving towards something. This is a conversation I have with myself, by the way. I don't want to make it seem like I'm just telling people what to do. I'm going on the same path as this. We're not perfect, and I understand that part. But simultaneously, we need to fight. Right? Again, we're also really under attack in every aspect. But then, how do you get yourself out of there? And how do you put yourself out there to really start thinking about what contributes to the better version of yourself? Accepting and believing there is a better version of yourself. How do you get there? You know, I think that's the beauty of life, where there's a set of challenges, and when you overcome those set of challenges, new challenges start coming in. That there is a beauty into that, right? Because now you've set new goals, and you're striving, and you're fighting, which is amazing. That's the most beautiful part of your story, is that you fought. You came out the other side of what you were fighting against. And then you have a story to tell to other people that are also fighting those same battles. Be a source of inspiration. Be an example. Be an example to other people that, hey, you know what? I fought. That's what we need to do. Is that be a source of inspiration. Ultimately, so to send the message to people to be reminded of God, and God is always there, and to continue to fight like no other. So I'm going to stop the podcast right here. These are thoughts that I wanted to share about dreaming big. Hopefully this inspires you to a certain extent. I will come out with a different episode. I don't know yet what it is, but inshallah we'll get into that for sure. Assalamu alaikum, and I'll see you guys later.